Straw, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your role, how long you've been at CTD for.
So my name's Straw. I was the founding AE here at CTD. I joined the company almost 5 years ago. So in April, it'll be 5 years. So it's been a while. But yeah, it's been a ride, I guess. I don't know what else I could add. Other than, I guess the cool thing is, from pre-revenue. So when I joined, we hadn't sold a single deal. We were giving away the product for free. And we've come a long way since then. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, that is an accomplishment to be part of that journey over the last 5 years and see how far the product has come. I guess can you tell us a little bit more about Connect the Dots, what it does, and how it's changed the way you've been able to get in front of decision makers?
Yeah, in short, for me, CTD is like the tool. So I didn't come from a previous role in like B2B sales or anything along those lines. It's just an opportunity that showed up, and I took control and grabbed onto that opportunity. And everything that I've learned at CTD. And I've always had these conversations with like sellers, like, fast forward a few years, where it's like, oh, all these cold calls and all these emails and these sequences, and here's how to write the perfect cold email, and then you should use this as your subject line. And like, none of that really like resonated with me. I was like, I don't even do all that. Like, I literally go into Connect the Dots, and so it was like that cheat code kind of that I've had, just given the fact that I'm at the company. And in short, for those that don't know, like, CTD maps out relationships across your entire company. So coworkers, executives, and then beyond that, your external stakeholders, board, investors, advisors, by scoring relationships and tapping into an untapped graph, which is email, right? So the fact that I was able to use my CTD account to go in and see who Drew, my CEO, knows, and who's been communicating with over the years, and how well he knows those individuals that are a part of my target accounts, it made booking meetings pretty easy. Like, I'd send an email to Drew and say, hey, I see that Bob Smith and Sally Jones, and like, is there anything there that you think we can get a meeting scheduled? It's like, yeah, just tee up an email for me, I'll send it over. And that was the motion and how we generated all of our meetings in the early days. And actually, some of the product is shaped off of that experience of me leveraging Drew, his network, to get to those individuals, to get meetings scheduled, copy and pasting those emails, then turned into ghost emailing, which we have in the product today. So all of that has kind of been my only way of prospecting and multi-threading and closing deals. And I haven't sent a cold email my entire tenure at CTD. So not one single cold email, not one single cold call. It's literally all been connecting the dots using our platform.
That's amazing. I love to hear that you don't have to send out any cold emails or do any cold outbound and get introduced via warm paths.
Yep.
I would say like some of the things I hear when I do talk to customers is like, how is this different from LinkedIn? Why couldn't I just go to LinkedIn and get introduced that way?
Yeah. And that question comes up all the time. And there's a lot of differentiators. So like the main thing is, LinkedIn is just LinkedIn, whereas Connect the Dots is email plus LinkedIn, right? So a lot of the time, like, I'll actually show Sales Nav or LinkedIn in my demo, and I'll explain that LinkedIn connections are a binary request. You meet somebody at an event and you decide to connect to that person because you had a 5-minute conversation, and they accept that connection request right there on the spot, and then you don't talk to that person ever again. And then fast forward 10 years and somebody asks you for an introduction to that individual, you're like, I don't even know that person. Like, I'm not even sure where we even connected. And that's like the vast majority of LinkedIn connections. Whereas within Connect the Dots, like, the fact that we're bringing in behavioral data with that bidirectional volume and frequency of email communication to determine the score, the relationship score, then that LinkedIn connection, like, there's something more to it. It's like, I know that person's emailed and here's 3 green dots and they have a strong relationship. So this is a genuine connection that I can leverage. So that's what, that separates CTD and LinkedIn. And then finally, I would think about it as like kind of automating LinkedIn, because a lot of the times today reps are going in and they say they want to get to a target individual and they look at their mutual LinkedIn connections, which we just talked about are usually not the greatest paths in. But then they go and say, all right, maybe this mutual connection is actually the right one because they overlapped with this company 10 years ago, but we're in the same department. So I have to do all this manual like research from profile to profile, opening up, probably hundreds of tabs and, switching through. Whereas like with CTD, again, we do all that analysis and we tell you like, this is a strong relationship. Here's the career overlap. They worked at the same company for X amount of years. This is the size of the organization. Here's their seniority level. They're in the same function. They went to the same office. They actually went to the same grad school. So like me just hovering over and getting that information versus clicking and finding and searching, that, hours and hours of time are saved just by leveraging the information that we surface. So those are the kinds of things that I mentioned as like the key differentiators between LinkedIn and CTD.
Yeah, no, it definitely resonates because to your point, LinkedIn kind of dilutes the meaning of a connection. You can virtually connect with anyone. And so it's kind of hard to gauge whether someone has a relationship with a prospect that you're trying to target. I guess like what is one thing that you would recommend for other AEs, just in general? Like, everyone's trying to hit their number, make it to President's Club if they're part of an organization that offers that, and stand out. At the same time, at least when I worked at large enterprise companies, I found myself like you have to create like your own personal brand really to stand out and in order to kind of connect and network with other people and make your mark. And so I'm wondering like, can you see like CTD helping out with that? Not only like leveraging your network to get in front of the buyers quicker, but also helping with creating your own personal brand by developing relationships with your connectors, with your executives, with your board members. Like, have you been able to develop relationships with those folks?
Yeah, I would say that CTD is pretty much relationship-based selling in a platform, right? So like, me, that's one of the coolest things I think about the job that I've had is I met a lot of really, really interesting people with tremendous backgrounds and like C-level executives at massive organizations, like having lunch with them and things like that. So like that's been probably the coolest part of the job, to be honest. But what I'm trying to say and like the direction I'm going is it's one thing when you meet that person because you're at an event and you just run into them and bump in and introduce yourself and you have a conversation. Whereas it's a completely different story if somebody puts you in touch with that individual and they say, hey, like you should talk to Straw because he thinks that this is interesting, or hey, like Straw's at CTD and blah 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 blah. You should talk to him. And then when you go in and like someone opens the door for you and you have that conversation, it's completely different, right? Because there's like an element of trust that's built in. Like I'm not going to introduce my best friend is just anybody out there, right? I'm going to introduce them to people that I think that it'd be a valuable conversation, or there's some kind of reason as to I think why he would benefit from that conversation. So CTD helps in that regard. When it's you want to talk to somebody, even if it's beyond work, like we're using CTD to sell CTD, right? But there's also different reasons you'd want to use CTD. Maybe you're starting your own company, and somebody that knows somebody at a VC firm. Or you are looking to hire your first account executive and you're looking at around in your network, like who knows, a good account executive, and you want to go figure out. So like, or you're done selling, you want to do something else, or you want to find, I don't know, a master chef for whatever reason. You can look through your network to do that. So I wouldn't think about CTD as just like, it's just a tool that you use to sell, right? Because again, we do have that free version of the product that you get to keep for life. And you build and you cater your network. And like I've gone from having a couple hundred connectors on the platform, so like getting introduced to a bunch of people, working and collaborating closely with customers and our board and our investors, and meeting people through them. So like I built my own network by kind of leveraging those individuals and their awesome networks. When I started the company, I had no network in tech at all, and now it's like kind of crazy to see how I was able to build that just by using CTD and asking the people around me for favors. And 10 years from now or so, when I'm a little bit more senior in my career, hopefully I can return the favor, make some more introductions, and kind of do the same for people that are coming up as well.
No, that's awesome. Okay, we're coming up on time, but is there anything you'd recommend? I know you've shared a lot of insight, great feedback. But is there one thing you would recommend other AEs start doing today? I think you highlighted it towards the end, like there is a free version that you could sign up and start even leveraging your own network. But is just one takeaway?
I guess for the people that don't have an account, the takeaway is like, hey, go create an account. It's free. It's not going to cost anything, and there could be potential a lot of value in there for you, right? You get to inherit some connectors, and if not, invite them. It's free to invite people. It's free for them to join. For those individuals that are customers or are using the product, then like one thing that I personally do, where again I don't consider it as cold, but I'll see that somebody signs up from an organization and they create a Connected Dots account, and then I'll go and I'll look up that company and see, okay, like can I get to a VP or C-level executive at that organization? And like the fact that somebody from that company signed up and created an account is playing with CTD, like I could go into that conversation and like tee up a ghost email for Drew, my CEO, to send to that C-level executive at that company and say, hey, it looks like some folks from your sales organization are checking out our product. Straw would love to give you an overview if it's interesting, or maybe you can connect us with the right person on the sales side to take a look at this and evaluate further. And like that's been a complete G code. Like it works all the time. Or I'll write up a ghost email for Drew to send to that new user if it's like a C-level executive or a VP, because we got those individuals that come up as well. So any customer that has like that freemium model for their own product that they're selling, when you have people signing up or creating accounts, and you're kind of either engaging them or you have somebody visiting your website and you're sending a cold email, try to think about like, how do I leverage my network to get that individual? Because everybody's has a packed inbox where they're getting those crazy annoying sequences, and you get an email and they connect to LinkedIn and they try calling you, and like everybody does the same playbook. And the way to differentiate is by using somebody to get a warm introduction, because that's going to convert at a much higher rate and it's much easier to do. So that's my message for people that are already using CTD.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Straw. And I'm sure Ian's going to gather a lot of insight and take little clips and little sentences here and there. I even learned what?
I was gonna say we could definitely like re-record if necessary, because I feel like I went on a couple tangents just talking too much, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the part that we want, the tangents, because it's real and authentic, especially like the last bit, the little cheat codes that you surfaced. And I even learned something, I got something out of it. Like I think that's an excellent idea of kind of checking out, okay, these are people that are coming to our website, and how could we leverage our network to write a very compelling personalized email to their executives? I didn't know that. I learned something new today. So